Breaking today, the final traces of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from the British royal family are being erased.
She knows that in 2027, she wants all eyes on her. She wants the royal family to be at the Invictus Games, and I think that for her, that is crucial, because if we think about it, the Sussex's only real tangible value is their proximity to the royal family. So if she can kind of be the star of the Invictus Games in 2 years' time, that gives her another 5 years of press, of deals and money making. So it's all part of a grand plan, I think.
Now, this is a big problem. This is on top of Harry having lost his court case against the Daily Mail. You've got bankruptcy looming with a house that may just get blown into the sea. They can't afford that house. They're living beyond their means. They're ruined.
£9,950,624 and 37 pence. That is the number the Daily Mail's publisher stood up in the High Court and asked Prince Harry to hand over. Within 14 days, on the indemnity basis, which in English law is what you ask for when you want the other side punished, the judge has already decided. It is written down. Harry simply has not been told what it says. The deadline is the 28th of August.
Harry has sued the Daily Mail for what he claims to have been unlawful information gathering 15 years ago. Well, it's been thrown out by the judge, and it's likely to cost Harry up to $10 million. It is money that he simply hasn't got.
Now keep that number in your head and come with me to a conference center in Birmingham on the 10th of July. Meghan was on the schedule for the Invictus 1-year countdown. Days out, she pulled the plug. Harry walked it alone, doing the smiling and the handshakes on his own. And the columnist who talks to the people who run these events reported what the room felt when she did not turn up: relief. A real sense of relief backstage. That is where these two have landed.
The salty Duchess has just managed to get a new word into the Urban Dictionary, and this word, I think, could sum up quite a lot of what the Sussexes are currently going through. Unsussexful.
He is waiting on a letter from London to tell him how poor he is. She has reached the point where a veterans charity exhales when she cancels. And it is worse than that. In 5 months, the charity he founded in his mother's memory has filed a defamation claim against him.
It's a problem, but also let's not forget, Sentabali is gone, but they're still suing him. So that case coming up for defamation, and won't that be interesting to see if it settles or not?
Netflix pulled its money out of her brand altogether. The sponsors he flew 4,000 miles to charm did not sign. Her approval in Britain has been recorded as low as 18%. The palace, so they say, is working out on paper what happens if this marriage ends. 2 people, 1 fortnight, everything burning at once. So here is the plan. We walk through what lands on the 28th of August, and there are 2 things due that week, and only one of them has anybody standing behind it. Then I name the 6 people he dragged into that bill with him, and one of those names will stop you dead. And by the end, you will know which of these 2 has a road out. It is not both of them.
The judge in this case, a man called Matthew Nicklin, was the same judge who dismissed Harry's case against the Mail on Sunday, the negotiations at Sandringham protection, and said that Harry had lied in his statement in that case. So he had form of not being, so to speak, enthralled to the royal family. Now Harry has lost now 2 cases in front of Nicklin. He's not going to risk a third.
29th and 30th of July, Royal Courts of Justice. And Mr. Justice Nicklin did the single cruelest thing a judge can do to a man who owes money. He reserved judgment. Reserved means decided. Somebody in London already knows the figure and is choosing the moment to say it out loud. You cannot argue with it. You cannot lobby it, and you cannot appeal it either, given that permission to appeal was deferred until after costs are ruled. He is not allowed to ask for a second opinion until he has been handed the invoice.
Prince Harry is done. Can you expand on that?
He's tarnished by losing a case which has cost them at least £50 million in costs. For Harry now, it's downhill.
Here is what got said in that room, 3,000 miles from his kitchen. The publisher's barrister asked for £9,950,000 as an interim payment. 14 days, indemnity basis. Harry's side offered $8 million and accepted that a costs order follows the event, which is the polite legal way of saying, we know we lost, please be gentle. The full bill is £34.5 million. And this is the part that made his own barrister blink. That bill runs $18.6 million beyond the budget the court itself had approved.
There isn't a laundry in the cosmos to wash all the dirty linen he has aired about his own family.
I mean, Harry just gave him a playbook. The Daily Mail just wants to throw the book at him, and I understand why.
For him to complain about his privacy being invaded takes not just the biscuit, but the whole tin. Poor Harry. I feel sorry for the way a confused and angry young man has been drawn into this case.
Nicholas Bacon KC called it eye-watering. He called it astonishingly high. He said the other side wanted to go for the jugular. Between all 7 of them, they have 16.2 million pounds of insurance, which leaves roughly 18 million with nothing whatsoever behind it. The publisher's own line, put out the day he lost, was that this case had burned through more than 50 million pounds in legal costs and a mountain of court time, and that they intended to get theirs back.
There's always a winner in these court cases, and it's nearly always the barristers involved, isn't it? We understand that Prince Harry and others who brought this case, they're being basically funded by insurance that's covering their case. So a lot of these insurance companies have, in the past, well, not in this case.
50 million pounds. On a case where a judge went through 97 separate allegations and threw out every single one. Then Nicklin closed the hearing with one sentence, and it is the coldest thing anybody has said about Prince Harry this year. They are going to be paying a sum of money that I will confirm in the judgment. Not might, not may. He is going to be paying, and the only open question is how much of it lands on him. Picture it, a man in a 9-bedroom house in Santa Barbara County, refreshing a court listings page, waiting for a stranger in a wig to tell him how much of his mother's inheritance has just evaporated. Honestly, you could not make it up.
The other issue is what it means for him and Meghan, because she's not going to be happy that he's picked this fight with the Daily Mail and once again lost. And she's going to suffer because the two of them are now even more broke.
Now, this is where it stops being funny. Harry was not alone in that case. He was claimant number 6 of 7. Say the other name slowly: Baroness Doreen Lawrence, Sir Elton John and his husband David Furnish, Elizabeth Hurley, Sadie Frost, and Sir Simon Hughes. Every claim dismissed. All 97 allegations gone in one judgment on the 7th of July. And Nicklin is not handing down 7 separate bills. He is handing down one global figure to be carved up between the 7 of them afterwards.
Who will cover those costs? Will Elton John in the end pay for the whole lot? I don't know if Harry has any money. If he does, is it the last of his mother's inheritance?
Could be up to $10 million. If any number of millions is money Harry hasn't got.
I don't think Harry has any money at the moment. I really don't. I've heard that he's trying to drum up another Netflix series of some kind. I know he's lost his contract with them, but he needs to find some cash from somewhere, especially now, today of all days.
Doreen Lawrence does not know what she owes. Elton John does not know what he owes. They find out when he does. Sit with the woman at the top of that list. Baroness Lawrence spent 3 decades turning her son's into police reform, into a public inquiry, into real change in this country. She is one of the most respected women in Britain, and her name is currently sitting inside a shared costs order with a man in California who calls losing a whitewash. Which brings us to the bit that ought to trouble anybody who has ever put their name to something on a friend's say-so.
But he didn't get that. This is a total destruction of his case and I believe his reputation today. The problem I've got with him is he keeps on trying to destroy other people's lives. This idea that he wanted to destroy them is quite shocking to me.
After the verdict, Harry did not go quiet. He put out a statement calling the ruling a complete and obvious whitewash. 10 days later, in front of the judge, the publisher's barrister held that statement up. He called it wholly inappropriate and unreasonable, and he said it in the middle of asking for costs on the punitive basis. Think about what that means. The mouth that would not stay shut may have pushed the price up, not only for him, for a woman who spent 30 years fighting for justice for her son, for a man who has spent his whole life pulling in money for other people's causes. He asked them to stand with him. They stood with him, and he handed them the receipt, the brass neck of it. Not one channel in this corner of the internet has said those 6 names out loud this month. Now you know why.
I don't really know what to say, but I think the sooner he goes back to Montecito, the better. But I don't think he's going to get a very good welcome there from his wife when she, wherever she is at the moment, because she'll be pretty angry about the verdict, won't she?
Games were hosted in September 2023 by the city of Dusseldorf, Germany, alongside the Invictus Games Foundation. The only involvement of Canada was to help fund the veterans go there. but that's it. British Columbia government to provide the full unredacted reports. And this includes almost $11 million in expenses allocated towards Harry and Meghan. Why was Meghan getting almost $6.7 million in expenses?
Back to Birmingham, and this is the part that will stay with you. 10th of July. 1 year to go until the games open in Birmingham. She is on the schedule, then, days out, she cancels. He walks the room alone, and the people running it, we are told, breathed out. When Harry comes alone, the phrase went, the focus stays exactly where he wants it, on the veterans.
The Mark Dolan Show has invented the MMV. What is that? It is the Meghan mind virus. And if Harry comes back to England, he'll be cured of it. That's why King Charles is so excited at the prospect of getting Harry back without Megs. So this is very interesting.
Now watch the dates and nothing else. Just the dates. I am not going to editorialize here. I will read them out in order. 28th of May, ATCO signs as international flag partner for the games. 10th of July, she does not turn up. 13th of July, 3 days later, Land Rover signs, official automotive partner, presenting partner of the wheelchair rugby. Deloitte is already an official partner. Boeing sits inside a multi-year partnership with the foundation running through 2027. 25 nations are coming, 550 competitors, 150,000 people expected through the gates. Participation up 56% in a single year. Every commentator in Britain spent this month telling you the sponsors were running for the doors. Funny that, they were not running. They were waiting for her to leave the room.
£29 million was given by the government. He is supposed to match or exceed that. He, again, as we all know, $4 million has been raised, and that trip to England was not successful. He did not reel in a major sponsor like Boeing. He did not really get any more money than he already had. In fact, it was just a disaster on every level except for the personal level.
Right. This is the part that should genuinely bother the two of them. And I do not believe either has worked it out yet. For 6 years, the story they sold themselves was that they were the value, that the cameras followed them, that any organization lucky enough to have a Sussex attached got the coverage and the front pages. Take us or take irrelevance, and here is a veterans charity that quietly ran the experiment. She did not come. Within 72 hours, a global car manufacturer put its name on the wheelchair rugby. That is sitting in a press release anybody can read. Nobody in that house has read it out loud. Then it gets sharper.
Keep in mind that Harry's not named in any of the legal documents for Invictus Games Foundation UK or in any of the little grifts that he has going, either in British Columbia, in Dusseldorf, even the one in the UK.
People keep asking whether the board can throw Harry off Invictus. They cannot throw him off. He was never on it in the first place. He is not a trustee. No seat, no vote, no salary, no control over a single line of that budget. Birmingham 2027 is run by an entirely separate company with its own chairman and its own chief executive, and his name appears nowhere on either.
Obviously, Harry's the problem. Everyone said it. Everyone knows it except for Harry. It doesn't matter, though.
Paula, it seems that when it comes to Invictus's problems, Harry is at the heart of that. You know, Harry made Invictus, and somehow he's the guy that's breaking it.
Would you like to know who really runs the thing he calls his life's work? The foundation's chairman is Lord Allen of Kensington. Its chief executive is Rob Owen. Birmingham 2027 is chaired by Vicky Gosling and run day-to-day by Helen Hellawell. 4 names, 4 people with genuine authority over the money, the venues, the contracts. None of them him. Not one of them has to take his call. He is a photograph on a wall. The wall has started redecorating.
Some people have wrongly claimed that Harry has to, or the Invictus Games Foundation has to raise £26 million in order for them to get the 26 millions that the UK government offered. That is an absolute lie.
So where does Invictus get its money? He has spent 12 years talking about the thing he built. Look at who paid for it. 6th of March this year, a written answer goes down in Parliament. The government has agreed to underwrite £26 million for Birmingham, and the wording is precise: to ensure delivery of the games if sufficient commercial sponsorship was not secured. Read that twice.
The UK government made a commitment to give them up to £26.6 million for the Birmingham 2027 Invictus Games, and it's structured as a financial underwrite. What does that mean? It means that if Harry can't, or if Invictus Invictus Games Foundation can't fundraise the amount they need in order to host the games in Birmingham, then the government has assured them £26.6 million.
The Ministry of Defense sat down, looked at the man fronting this event, and wrote a contingency plan for him falling short, years in advance. Then they filed it away and carried on as normal. Go back to 2014. The copper box, the launch, the speech, the grin, £500,000 out of the royal charity set up for wounded servicemen, and £1 million of bank fine money released by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, money confiscated from banks as punishment. That is what got it off the ground. A royal foundation, then a treasury windfall out of confiscated bank fines, and a defense ministry, 12 years, 3 pots of money, and not £1 of it his.
I mean, Paula, we can't exaggerate this. In terms of branding, no Invictus, no Harry.
It's harsh, but the issue is Invictus needs oversight. Somebody needs to be able to look at people and say, this is where your money goes. This is why we need £60 million for 500 people to play some games. Instead of saying, like the Department of Defense in the US does, we do it for $2 to $3 million every year.
He has never once had to find out what any of it costs. On the 28th of August, he finds out. And the one time he was sent out to bring the money in himself, he came to Britain this summer, worked the rooms, did the photographs. Paula Froelich's figure for what Birmingham has pulled in commercially is around £4 million, off roughly 11 sponsors, against a £26 million government safety net. He flew 4,000 miles to sell the thing with his own name on the front, and he could not close the sponsor everybody expected him to close.
Now, Invictus is a problem because, like it was with Sentabali, his personal brand and him and Meghan are impeding fundraising for Invictus. So he did come this summer. Part of the reason, one of the biggest reasons, was to help raise money for Invictus, as we all know.
Staying in those accounts for a moment, there is a question from the summer nobody has answered. In 1 year, the foundation's income went up 41%. Its cash reserves grew to $2.3 million, and the money reaching veterans organizations fell by 63%, from £534,000 down to $200,000. That is £334,000, which used to reach soldiers, now going somewhere else entirely.
These are reports with taxpayers' money. It's a ticking time bomb. This is an amazingly shocking turn of events for Harry, and it's like the walls are closing in on this idiot, isn't it? And it's about time that he pays the piper.
Froelich, who has dug further into these accounts than anybody in the business, put it plainly, "We don't know how it really operates," she said. "It is kind of vague. There are documents that are redacted. In a charity for wounded servicemen. Good grief."
What you described about Buckingham Palace's detailed breakdown is actually a matter of a breakdown of trust. Point about Harry was, can we trust him? And because of all the briefing and the reversals and all the somersaults, what they're really saying is, we cannot deal with this. We don't trust succession.
And here her name walks back in, given that inside the organization they had already coined a nickname for the whole thing. Tom Bower's book landed in the spring, serialized in the Sunday Times. The detail that has survived every furious statement is not an anonymous whisper. It is a name, Dominic Reed, the man who ran the Invictus Games Foundation from 2014 to 2025. 11 years as chief executive, Bower names him as the voice inside the building, worried the whole thing had turned into the Harry and Meghan show. Bower's own words for what she brought, bling, not rehabilitation. His account describes crowds arranged around the pair of them for the cameras. The foundation called those claims disgusting and deeply disrespectful.
I've got a solution.
Go on.
If Harry ceases to be involved in the Invictus Games, all the sponsors will be back. Just imagine if Sir David Beckham was the head of the Invictus.
Oh, wow.
It'll be bigger than the World Cup. Similarly, what about the amazing Mike Tyndall if he was the head of Invictus? They will literally, and Airbus. All of those guys will be back.
Harry's spokesman called the book deranged conspiracy and melodrama. Lovely, furious, it's very loud, and completely beside the point. Nobody took the nickname back. You do not erase 11 years of chief executive with a press release. And the moment she skipped Birmingham, every person who had been calling it the Meghan Games got to watch what happened in the sponsorship column 3 days later. Isn't that interesting?
Let's see who are the trustees in that. Let's see if Prince Harry's name is there. Of course, Prince Harry's name is not there, which means that anything that's shady, he's not legally responsible, even if it gets millions of pounds in funds. So far, the UK government has given them £3,339,779.
Now look at the rest of the empire. And this is not one bad month. This is a demolition. Sentebale, the charity he set up in Diana's memory, the one thing he could always point at. It filed a defamation claim against him on the 24th of March. And after July, nothing. No hearing date, no defense. Silence. It simply sits there, ticking African parks, where he will not step down, whatever anybody says.
Also, he has Africa Parks, let's not forget that, which he refuses to step down from, despite proven allegations of rangers raping members of the Baka tribe. So he's just saying, no, everyone will forget about that, which is why I like to just bring it up every single time.
Archwell downgraded from a proper Netflix deal to a first look arrangement, which in Hollywood is the polite way of saying we will take your calls. And, as ever, on the 6th of March, Netflix pulled its money out of her brand altogether. Not a soft landing, not a quiet restructure with a face-saving statement. The investor walked. Every vehicle those two built is now shrinking, suing him, or already dead.
Well, it's starting to look, and you know as well as I do, that those veterans are total heroes. Heroes in their public service, risking their lives to stand up for Western freedoms. Heroes again in this amazing sporting endeavor. So we love the veterans. But Invictus itself now, it's just become quite a tainted brand. And I wonder whether Harry is the problem.
So, the 28th of August and two checks. The first is the Ministry of Defence's £26 million, sitting there guaranteed, put in place by people who assumed he would fall short. Invictus is safe. Somebody made very sure of that. The second is his. Somewhere between £8 million and £950,624.37. Nobody set that aside. Nobody underwrote him. 12 years, he has been the signature on checks other people wrote, and on the 28th of August, he learns what his own handwriting is worth.
He may be on the hook for $10, $15, $20 million of legal expenses for the Daily Mail. The other charitable stuff is not happening. Sentebale, he's lost control of it. The Archwell Foundation has effectively been shuttered. All he's got is Invictus.
And now the figure that settles everything, given that one number in this whole mess went the other way. In July, YouGov ran the tracker. Harry had just lost the biggest case of his life, 97 allegations dismissed. A 9-figure legal war ended in the worst possible column. His approval went up 6 points to 33%. Why? One afternoon at his father's house. That is all it took. No apology, no book, no interview, no rebrand. He sat down with the king and the country moved 6 points.
So now he's going back in September and is going to once again try to drum up some cash. It's also the reason why he did the big front page in the Mirror of Pa. Let the world see us together, because he needs Daddy to be associated with Invictus kind of again. The royals were there when it was under the royal umbrella, but he needs Daddy to be there to raise money and to say the king will be there. So then people will open up some wallets.
And before anybody says 33% is nothing to celebrate, wait, it is not the number that matters. It is the direction and it is the comparison. Hers, 22% positive, 65% negative. One reading this year had her at 18.
The name for everything the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, try to do, but it always goes belly up.
So there it is. There is a road back. It runs through Windsor. It runs through a cup of tea with his father, and it works. It has been measured working, and there is exactly one seat in that car. She pulled out of the countdown, and the money came back inside 72 hours. How convenient. Her name is not on that claim. Her name is not in the recovery. The only path that has ever lifted his numbers is the one path she cannot walk down. And the reporting says the palace has already started writing down what happens if he takes it without her. On the 28th of August, he learns what he owes. She already knows what she is worth, 18%.
Take it with a pinch of salt and question it, because as always with the Sussexes, and in particular Meghan, who is pathologically transactional, nothing happens by accident. So this issue comes amid continuing speculation about the separate professional lives being pursued by Harry and Meghan.
Well, this is Star Spotlight, where we read the filings nobody else bothers with, name the people everybody else leaves out, and stay on a subject long after the rest of them have run off after the next photograph. The games will go ahead. The veterans will compete. 25 nations will turn up in Birmingham in July 2027. And the only two people in all of this with genuinely nowhere to be are the two who used to think they were the reason anybody came. Make of that what you will. So tell me in the comments, when he walks back through that door on his own, does she follow him or does she finally let him go? I read every single one. Hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about these stories. And subscribe. There's a lot more coming this week. That cost judgment can land any day now. And the moment the number is public, we go straight into who really pays it and what it does to the 6 other names on that claim. You'll want to be here.